Okay, we had a little technical difficulty, as we may do from time to time, but we're going to talk about Christmas now. And many of you have noticed that there are fewer nativity scenes. They should not be on public property. I don't want to see a nativity scene on the courthouse lawn. I don't want to see a nativity scene at town hall. Private property, in front of your church, in front of a synagogue. And you say, in front of a synagogue, you crazy? No, remember this. Yeshua, which is the Middle Eastern way of pronouncing Jesus, was Jewish. There was no Christianity. And I have had people to say to me, Christ was his last name, and he was the first Christian. I don't know what school you went to, but Jesus and his family didn't come to make Christianity. They came to fix the greed and the pettiness and the politics and the political insiderness of the Romans with the Jewish synagogue. They tried to straighten all that out, simplify Judaism to the golden rule, to learning to get along with each other, to learn to be caring about each other. That's why he came. His whole family had a plan. You've seen my other Christmas shows. He was not a poor carpenter. His father wasn't poor. He was a businessman. He had his business running in the caravans with Mary's uncle Joseph of Arimathea. And you may remember why we talk about M-E-R, which is mare in French. And it's Mara or Mar in ancient Hindu. And that means of the ocean. And as Catholic nuns and Catholic priests take names, assumed names when they take their final vows, so did the Jews. That's where they got it from. And so Mary, mother, was not called Mary. And Joseph wasn't called Joseph. And it doesn't matter what they were called. What matters is the fact that they were dedicated enough to come to this planet and sacrifice their lives, their comfort, their conveniences for a mission that was larger than they were. And Jesus did the same thing. And his wife, Magdala, Mary of Magdalene, which is south of Jerusalem, and she was very well known as a priestess, as was Mary, mother, and Joseph, the father, was very well known as a high priest. The Temple of Jerusalem had 3 spires, one for the public, one for the female priestesses, one for the male priests. They all studied there. They were Essenes. This was in the house of David on both sides. Mary Mother's house was from the house of David. Joseph, the father, from the house of David. There was no question that Jesus was a rabbi, and they called him Rabboni. So there's no question that if you look at his deeds and you look at his actions, that he was a savior, just like Buddha, just like Mary Mother, just like Magdala, Mary of Magdalene, just like others who have come and gone, Krishna. Now you're going to say, well, I know something about Hinduism, and Krishna and Radha were lovers. No, they weren't. They were showing that you could be male and female, representing the God force, and not be having physical sex, but be having an emotional, spiritual attachment. Remember, Krishna was married and had a child, and then left on his spiritual mission. Same thing with Buddha. Buddha was born Hindu, and his parents expected him to take over the kingdom. So he got married, had a child, and then left on his spiritual mission. He fulfilled his earthly responsibilities to his family and his community and his entire kingdom. And then he went and did what he needed to do. And that is simply to simplify Hinduism. We can do a show on Hinduism again because I still think so many of you don't understand it. And here's how I do it. One God. Male aspect, female aspect, one God. I'll do it again. One God, male aspect, female aspect, one God. And there's an old expression, I'm a yogi, that means we go to God in any way we like, that God has many faces. And that means every single concept, every thought, every ability, every action, every bird, every tree, every pussycat, every puppy dog, especially pussycats, every person is part of the God essence. We, our souls, are part of the God essence, the active part of the God essence. The physical body is just a costume. It works. On this planet, at this stage of the game, people wouldn't listen to you if you were a floating voice somewhere down in public saying, "Where's the ice cream?" So we have to have a physical body on a physical planet. And it's your obligation to do the very best you can to take care of your health. I am going to the point that even though the Catholics and the Christians, now we don't see me at all.
Sorry, darling.
The Catholics and the Christians love to claim Christmas for themselves. Remember that Jesus and his entire family were Essenes, were Jewish. And sadly, we have this male problem on the planet. It was a problem in Atlantis, and it's a problem, and it's been a problem for a long time. Remember, I think it was 1920 that we got the vote here in the United States. What's the first country that had the vote for women? Ding, 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 ding. New Zealand. Not us. New Zealand. Men wanted to keep us in our place. That, by the way, is the whole idea over birth control and women, whether women should have abortions or not. I am not in the position of saying treat abortion as if you would birth control, because I don't believe that. I've had 3 miscarriages myself. So I know the idea of losing a baby, a fetus actually. My longest pregnancy was 3 months. I don't take abortion lightly. I do take birth control unlightly. I take birth control very seriously. Because if you're going to have a child, you should be ready to have that child, and you should want that child. That child should be the most important thing with your spouse that you concentrate on and want to bring onto the planet. And not just till the kid's 3 or 4 and ship them off to school and daycare and then, resume your career. The child should be an integral part of your life. And somebody's got to stay home and raise him. And that doesn't mean a babysitter. It means you, your husband, both of you, alternate in your careers and think about it. And if you don't have the lifestyle to be able to have children, then guess what? Don't have them. It's your lesson perhaps in this lifetime that you're learning other things. It's karma. Karma is the law of cause and effect. Or what goes around comes around. Or you reap what you sow, as they say in the New Testament. So therefore, my position is Christmas is for everyone. Jesus' message was, love one another as you love me. Treat each other, because as you treat each other, you treat me. That's very Buddhist. That's very Hindu. It's very yogi. It's also Wiccan, which is what certain people call witches. And if you've been Harry Potterized, I was Harry Potterized before Harry Potter came out. You know that Wicca respects both the male-female energy of God, as did the ancient Celts, as did the Essenes. Why would they build a temple with a separate spire for priest training and a separate spire for priestess training and a separate spire for the public? Because they understood the balance of the male-female energy of God. So I'm saying that Christmas is a time for everyone to think about being kinder, being nicer, Yes, I got calls from some of you saying, "Oh, I'm so glad you got your Christmas message back on. I love that." It's like 20 years old. I've been playing that message, but no one will let me take it off. It starts off with, "Oh, we got a pussycat visitor. This is my little grandson, Tony, who's now taking up the entire screen and loves seeing himself." It starts off with, "Grandma got run over by a reindeer." And it ends by telling you what the most precious gifts are: kindness, thoughtfulness, love, gentleness, etc. So I'm going to say that Christmas is for everybody. I don't care if you're an atheist. Oh, Tony, please don't knock the monitor down. Is there anything we can do about this executive producer? Is he going to knock it down?
No.
Okay, otherwise
We're not having an earthquake. That's, I think, the main thing. He's rubbing his whiskers.
He's rubbing his little whiskers, putting his little scent on the program. That's why the picture is shaking. Christmas is for everyone to think about being kinder, everyone to think about being more loving, more gracious, a better neighbor. That's Tony going by. About taking a good look at your personal life and saying, am I happy? Or do I just think I'm happy? Am I really the person that I want to be? If you're married, is this a good marriage? What can we do to make it better? Because if you're married, it's two people. I spent my first marriage basically alone. I say I was married for 18 years to two different men, and I was alone for 17 of them. So you say to yourself, how can I make this better? And you talk to your spouse about it. And if you have children, say, what do you feel about this family? What do you feel about where we're going, what we're doing, how we're making things happen in our relationships? Is there something you have a complaint about your mother? Are you unhappy with daddy for some reason? Speak honestly. Don't start screaming. Don't be a screamer. I can't stand screaming. I grew up listening to screaming and yelling. My ears buckle. I don't even go to the movies anymore. I used to use earplugs, but that wasn't even enough. They blast the movies so loud I would come out with a headache like this and take 2 days to recover. So screaming gets you nowhere. In fact, you look like a jerk and you sound like a jerk. And your kids think, oh, she doesn't get it. Why is she constantly screaming? And then you know what happens? The kids scream. That's not a good idea. We don't want people running around screaming the way they're doing these days. People are rude or nasty. They're self-centered. They're arrogant. Is that the best kind of world you want to live in? Is that what you want to have your children grow up and inherit? Are you proud of yourself when you yell at somebody? The guy behind the counter who can't make the cash register work, it might be, we have gone through the last hour and a half more technical difficulties that we have no idea why they've occurred or how it's happened. We'll fix it. But I didn't stand here and scream. My executive producer didn't stand here and scream. Tony didn't scream. You let things go and say, I'm not happy with the situation. What can we do to make it better? And if you talk honestly to your kids and let them know, no, they're not going to be grounded if they think this or that, you're going to have a better relationship with your family. And this should be like a weekly meeting. There were kids I loved very dearly years ago. I was helping to raise them, but they did not have the best parents in the world, and I could only visit periodically, so I did not have as much influence over them as I would have liked. But when I was there at the house, they behaved differently. Because I had a set of rules, and I was consistent with my rules. And I was consistent with my behavior. And I didn't scream and yell. I simply acted. One night, one of the boys was slinking out, sliding down the drain pipe to get out and run away. Yeah. And I went in his room and I removed some things like his television, his radio. And when he came back, he said, well, my clock radio wakes me up. I said, an alarm clock, I've got one here for you.
Was he running away, or was he off just
Oh,
for,
no, he was
for
off.
an evening escapade?
Oh, he was evening
It
escapades.
wasn't like he had a
Oh,
stick.
no. He tried that. When I moved down here, he tried that. And I got a call from the police, the state police, telling me that he was headed my way and would I please call them. He never made it.
Is he dead?
No. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in years.
I'm just saying, when you say he never made it,
He never made it to Florida. He actually never made it out of the Poconos. When they called me, and then I called his mom, I kept doing energy work and spinning him around and around and around and sending him directly out to the highway, which he didn't realize because he didn't have a great sense of direction. He didn't have a compass. He was not prepared. And by the way, there were bears in the Poconos. And there were bears where I come from in Connecticut. I was born in New York City, raised on the island, but lived in Connecticut, and my backyard was part of a bear pathway. And everybody knew where it was, and you didn't go wandering around in the woods at night because the bears, you could bump into the bears and scare the bears more than they scared you. So be consistent with your family, be consistent with your friends. Act as you would like to be treated. Would you like to be treated kindly? Would you like to be treated with respect? Well, let's make this Christmas season and every Christmas season a time for you to do real intensive checkup on your life, on who you are, on where you're going. If you don't understand where you are now, you won't have a plan for where you want to go and how you can make yourself better. And who better to know you than your family? And by the way, I think it was the talk today with Julie Chen. Yes, she's made her dinner table, breakfast table, luncheon table, a no phone zone. Nobody has any electronics unless it's a watch. And there better not be messages on that watch. I think if you sit down to dinner, you should eat. And you should talk to each other. That's what families do. Even if it's just you and your cat, or you and your husband, or you and your wife. You talk to each other. How did your day go? What happened? What are your plans for the weekend? What do you want to do? Is there anything special you want to do for the weekend? Or you want to just disconnect and hang out? So talk to the person you're with. And when you get used to doing that, you won't be so lonely. Because I talk to so many people, so many clients, and they're depressed, and they're lonely. You can be in a room full of people and still be lonely because you may not belong there. They may not be your actual spiritual family. And so you feel like an outsider, and you are. They don't want you there any more than you want to be there. So use this Christmas time as a time to evaluate yourself. Evaluate your partner, evaluate your children, evaluate your job, your in-laws, your outlaws, your parents, everybody in your life. And here's what I said the other day to my best friend. I say to myself, I could drop dead tomorrow. Will I be happier talking to you on the phone? Or will I be happier cleaning up my kitchen? Which is a frightening place to enter. You enter at your own risk. The house that I have, it was started out as a retirement community, so they expect you to sell everything up north, move here, buy a bed, buy a couch, and die. There's no storage space, only 2 bedrooms. I need at least 3 or 4. I mean, you need a room for gifts and gift wrapping. Stop laughing. She lives in the same house. She has the same house, so she knows the story.
Now they think I live with you.
No, you don't live with me. You live with your husband.
Same model.
It's the same model house. We have the same 0 space. In my house, nothing exists in there that doesn't serve another purpose of storage. I would never have a table with, 4 legs except my dining room table, my kitchen table. That's it. Everything else has to serve a purpose. How much time do we have? Well, now I got to wrap it up. I want to wish you a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, tell you Namaste, which means I bow to the God within you, and we'll be back very shortly. But make this Christmas a Christmas of light and love. Thank you for being with us. I'm Linda Bennett.